everybody, my name is Mars. You can call me MG if you would like, and I have quite a bit of fantasy on my TBR for the month. I have 4 fantasy books, to be exact, and we are going to read 3 of them in this vlog. The one I'm not going to be reading for this vlog is A Day of Fallen Night, which, don't get me wrong, I'm super excited to read that. I am just scared, and I don't want to read it yet. It's 850 pages long, guys, so we are not going to be reading that for this vlog, but we'll be reading the other 3 fantasy books from my monthly TBR, and I have decided that the one I want to start with is Bitter Blue by Kristin Cashore. This is the 3rd book in the Graceling Realm series. It says on here, sequel to Graceling Companion to Fire. So Graceling is the first one that was written, and then Fire takes place in a different part of the world, but it kind of explains the backstory of the main villain in Graceling, and then this takes place, I want to say 6 or 7 years after Graceling does, and it follows a character that we meet in Graceling. Her name is Bitter Blue, that's why it's the name of the book, and I don't want to spoil anything about the other 2 in case you haven't read it, but this follows the aftermath of what the villain in Graceling did to this kingdom and the surrounding kingdoms. So on the back it says, how could she find her place as a true queen when her kingdom is only just waking up from the 35-year spell of a madman? So yeah, Bitter Blue is the queen. She might just be a princess and then becomes queen. I don't exactly remember. This is a reread for me, but I haven't read it in a long time. I know I read it when it first came out, which was probably 2012 or something, and I've maybe read it once since then, but no more than that. So I'm very foggy on what happens in this, but I want to reread it because in the past year or so I've reread both Graceling and Fire, and then I'm going to be rereading this because years after this came out, I believe it was 2021 and 2022, 2 more books came out in this series that are direct sequels to Bitter Blue. So I'm refamiliarizing myself with what I've already read in the series so that I can finally get to those 2 books that I didn't get to read because I just never picked them up when they came out. So she is chunky, over 500 pages. Yeah, 540 pages. So a thick book, but it's middle grade. It's a reread. So it's a world that I know I love. I think I'm going to be able to slip into this quite easily. It is split into parts, but there are, how many parts? 5. So normally if I'm reading a book that's split into parts for a vlog, then I will update at the end of each part, but 5 parts feels like a lot, so I don't know. Oh, there's a prologue before part 1. Okay, so I'm just gonna lump the prologue in with part 1. And we'll see if I update you after every one, or if I update you after every 2. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But I am going to get started on this. It is a Wednesday when I'm starting this vlog, and I have no idea how long it's going to take me to read these 3 fantasy books, but we're going to go along on this journey together. So I'm going to get going on this and update you once I've made some progress. It is just past 7 p.m. still on Wednesday, and I have my first update on Bitter Blue, which is purple, and that bothers me a little bit because why is it not blue? Bitter Blue is called Bitter Blue because the country that her mother comes from, everyone has names relating to colors, so she's Bitter Blue. And the book is purple, and I think it's because one of the other main characters has purple eyes, but it bothers me a little bit. It's so nitpicky, but it really does. It does have this beautifully gilded key on the cover, and the art for all the end papers, stunning. And then the art at each of the different parts is also so beautiful. It's got this gargoyle, and I appreciate that there's no stars in the moon, because that's genuinely one of my biggest pet peeves, is when someone draws a crescent moon and they draw stars in the little crescent. My cat just knocked something over in the other room. I will have to check on that after I finish this clip. But yeah, I've just finished part 1, so here we have the art for part 2, and I'm just about 100 pages in. And so far, we've got Bitterblue, who's trying to pick up the pieces of her kingdom after all this stuff that her father did. And, like, there's so many weird things going on, so she decides that she's going to sneak out and see the city for herself and figure out what's going on. And so she's met these people, and she's seen these things happening, and it really just gives her even more questions, which, like, I'm only 100 pages into a 500 something page novel. Obviously, we're not going to be answering questions yet. So she's just like, I have no idea what's going on, and I gotta find out because I'm the queen, and I gotta fix things. So that's happening. There's been an assassination attempt on her. Well, it wasn't an assassination attempt. It was a kidnapping attempt that would have turned into an assassination if she hadn't cooperated until people were able to come and help her out. Although she did get through it mostly on her own. But yeah, part 1 was called Stories and Lies. And this does take place nearly 9 years after the events of Graceling. So she was 10 there, so she's nearly 19 at this point, which I appreciate. I feel like so many YA books have like 16 or 17-year-old protagonists, and I'm just like, that feels so baby, which, like, 19-year-olds are still so young, I say, as a 26-year-old, but at least she's not 17. And then part 2, if I can flip to it, is called Puzzles and Muddles, so that's fun. I'm very much looking forward to continuing on. Part 2 is like 170 pages long, so I don't think I'm going to get through it tonight, but I'm hoping to get through a good chunk of it, and I will see you probably at the end of it. I have been thinking about it, and I'm gonna update you at the end of each part. It's just the easiest thing for me to do, so I'm gonna get going and check on what my cat just did in the other room, and I will see you when I finish part 2 of Bitterblue. Hello friends, it is just about 3:30 on Thursday. That's a lot of sounds. That was very hard for me to get through. But anyway, I have finished the next part of Bitterblue, so I'm now, what page am I on? 274 pages in, and things are heating up. We had a lot more drama going on, a lot more mysteries, some things being revealed, other things being, like, brought up as new mysteries, and then right in the last few chapters, one of Bitterblue's friends that she made on her nightly excursions has found out that she's the queen and is rightfully upset by this deception. So there's all that drama, and we are now on part 3 called Ciphers and Keys, which I love this little picture of a cat. So cute. I think the cat's name is Lovejoy, if I remember correctly. But yeah, the very last thing that happens before part 3 is that Bitterblue realizes that her mother had left her a cipher. And, like, it's another puzzle to solve, but it's one that I think is going to be so fun. I truly don't remember how this book plays out. Like, genuinely, I know I've read it before, but like I said, it's been so long. But I'm now, like, halfway through it, so I do expect there to be less mysteries brought up and more mysteries solved in this second half. Part 3 ends on page 397. So 120-ish pages, 125. That's not bad. I might be able to get through that tonight, if I'm being honest. I do have plans to go out for dinner, but it is very, very cold, so I don't know if that's actually going to happen. If not, I might just stay here and keep reading all afternoon and evening. I've done my writing for the day. I thought about maybe writing more, but maybe I'll read more instead. Who knows? But I am going to get back to this. Malin is currently streaming with Stieg, and so I'll be reading for at least the next couple of hours while they continue to stream, just because it's what I've decided to do during the sprints. So I will get back to that, and I will see you guys when I have finished part 3. Okay, friends, I know it looks like I haven't left because I'm updating you from the exact same place that I was in my last update, but it is about 7:15 now, and I have finished the next section of Bitter Blue. So now I'm on part 4, which looks like this. I love these dividers, they're so cool. About 400 pages in? What was the last page that I read? 397. So I did do more reading during Malin's stream, and then I went out for dinner, had some stir fry, delicious, then came back home and did more reading, and I'm still very much enjoying this, obviously, because I've spent a good chunk of my day reading it. I wouldn't do that with a book I wasn't enjoying, but I wouldn't say that pieces are coming together like they are, but beyond that, it's more accurate, I think, to say that the characters are discovering more of the puzzle pieces to see the full picture. So, like, the things they already knew are coming together a little bit, but beyond that, they're just having more things to put together, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's very exciting. I'm having a great time with this. The characters, so good. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'm a character-driven reader, and this book has some great characters. They're so well written, and I love how they interact with each other. It's so good. So I have like 150 pages left. I don't think I'm gonna finish it tonight, but like definitely tomorrow. So I think what I'm gonna do now is put my pajamas on and get cozy and do some YouTube watching, because I want to take a break from reading. I have been reading like the entire day, like the entire afternoon and evening. I spent a lot of time this morning writing, but then all I have left is, oh gosh, it's hard to hold this at once. This section here is part 4, and then part 5 is only this much. And then this last little bit is like a who's who, and it tells you all the different characters and who they are, and then there's a bunch of maps in the back. So I think I'm not going to update you after the end of part 4, because part 5 is so short. I'll just update you after I read both parts, and that will be tomorrow morning, because I'm definitely going to read more tonight before bed. I always do a little bit of reading in bed, because I get ready for bed before my boyfriend does, and then I read while he gets ready, and then he comes to bed and we go to sleep. So, I'm gonna put this away for now, but definitely get a little bit more done tonight, and then finish this tomorrow morning, most likely. And then that's the first book of the vlog done. I'm so excited to see how this plays out. I do remember, like, something that I think happens. Is there an epilogue? No, so it might just be, like, in the last chapter, a character from one of the previous books shows up, which, speaking of previous books, this section is also where we get a lot of intertwining things from the book Fire, which is the second book written in the series, but it acts as a prequel. It takes place, I want to say, 30-ish years before Graceling does, which means it would be almost 40 years before this book takes place, and some of the stuff from that book is starting to come into play here. So lots of things happening. I'm excited to finish this out and get to the rest of it. And that way, in the coming months, I can hopefully read Winterkeep and then Sea Sparrow, I think is the order it comes in. It might be Sea Sparrow and then Winterkeep, but I think Winterkeep is first and then it's Sea Sparrow. Regardless, I am so excited to finish this book, to get on to the rest of them at a later date. Not for this vlog, so I don't know why I'm rambling on about it, but I am, because I like to ramble. But yeah, that is this update. I'll see you guys when I finish this book. Friends, it is quite a bit later than I expected to be making this update. It is almost 2:30 in the afternoon, but I didn't do as much reading last night as I thought I would, and then this morning I was distracted by some other things, then I had to go grocery shopping, but I have finally finished Bitter Blue. It's so good, you guys. I had a fantastic time reading this. It's amazing. I am so glad that I reread this. I think this is my favorite in the series, at least that I've read so far. As we've established, I have 2 more to read, and I'm really hoping I get to them somewhat soon, but I just had such a great time, and it's so fun. I think, at least this time around, I can't speak for previous times, but I think my favorite character is Gideon, who is kind of like not a great person. Like, he's very complicated, especially in Graceling. But between Graceling and this book, he's had a lot of character development, and I just love where his character has gone, and I'm excited to see more of him in the future. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. Oh, I just realized that there's like a whole person in the back. I've noticed the eye in the keyring before. I didn't ever notice that eye, or the fact that there's like a nose and like a whole face there. That's kind of creepy now that I've noticed it. Huh. Well, interesting. There's faces, I don't know if you can tell. This is what the other 2 original book covers look like, but there's the dagger and you can see an eye in the reflection of the dagger, because at least in Graceling, the magic system is that people born with 2 different color eyes have a power called a grace, and it's unique to each person. So the main character of Graceling is Katza, and she has a grace, hence why it's called Graceling, because that's what someone who has a grace is called. And then fire is like the bottom half of a person's face. Yeah, had a great time. I'm so excited to read the other 2 books eventually, whenever that happens. Hopefully soon, but we all know I'm not the best at continuing a series. And speaking of continuing series, I'm starting a new one next. Should I be starting a new series? Probably not, but it's on my TBR for the month, so we're gonna do it. And that is The Magicians by Love Grossman. I have this Netflix tie-in cover, which, like, I don't really like people on the cover of books, but this one isn't awful. Like, this one's fine. I have seen a couple of seasons of the Netflix show. I don't actually know if it's a Netflix show. It might just be a show in general. It is an original series on Sci-Fi. I think it was on Netflix when I watched it. I didn't watch the whole thing. I only watched 2 seasons. Maybe I started season 3, but I don't think I finished it. But I know that it's not the same as the book. Like, there are quite a bit of differences between the show and the book. So I have a little bit of foundational knowledge, but not a ton. So I am excited to check this out. It has kind of like Chronicles of Narnia, but for adults vibes, because it's a portal fantasy. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this, which is why it's the next book I'm picking up. It's not very long. It looks to be almost exactly 400 pages long. 402 pages, so that's actually longer than it looks. It's kind of deceptive in its size because it is paperback. Also, though, the font is so tiny, so maybe this is a lot more story than I'm giving it credit for, but I don't know. I will be starting this later on tonight. It is Friday, so Jess is streaming tonight, and then Katie is streaming late at night from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m.-ish. So I think that I'll save that for the streams, because that late at night I will not be coherent enough to do anything more productive than reading. So I think that's when I will give this one a go. So until then, I will get going and do other stuff, and I'll see you later. Hello, friends. It is just past 1 p.m., actually just like 1:30 p.m. on Saturday, and I don't have much of an update on The Magicians for you. I mean, I can show you that I am barely into it. I read the first 2 chapters last night, so I'm on page 34, and it's already weird and much different than the show. So I think in the show, the college that our main character Quentin ends up at is like graduate school, but in this, he's literally 17 years old and like a senior in high school, or like just graduated high school maybe, I don't know. But yeah, basically all I've read is him getting to this school and having to take this test. If you didn't know, this is about a magic school, which I mean, the Magicians. Obviously, there's magic involved, but yeah. I enjoyed these first couple of chapters. I thought they were fun, but I don't really have much of an opinion yet. The reason why I'm here to give you this little update is because my boyfriend wanted to go to Micro Center to update some computer parts, and you know what's down the street from the Micro Center? Barnes & Noble. So I have a wee little haul for you. The reason we actually stopped at Barnes & Noble was for Chainsaw Man Volume 17, which just came out. I don't know how to explain Chainsaw Man to you if you don't know what it is, especially because I'm now 17 volumes in, but there are these things called devils that are like manifestations of fears, and our main character Denji is human, but then he merges with the Chainsaw Devil and becomes Chainsaw Man. This isn't Denji. I don't remember this guy's name. He is Yoshida. This is Yoshida. He's a fun character, but yeah, things happen. We're pretty far into it now. This is the second like major arc, but I love Chainsaw Man. I think it's so fun and ridiculous, and it's so good. So highly recommend if you're looking for manga. But then the thing that I didn't plan on getting, but my boyfriend got for me as an early anniversary gift, because our anniversary is at the end of January. We'll have been together for 6 years, which feels a little bit insane, like 6 whole years already, but I got a book as my early anniversary gift, and the book that I got is Heavenly Tyrant by Shirin J. Zhao, the sequel to Iron Widow. She's thick. She's like over 500 pages. I don't want to spoil myself, but I want to see how many pages it is. 521, so quite large, but I'm so excited to have this. I'm going to do a reread of Iron Widow and read Heavenly Tyrant immediately after. Let me know if you want me to vlog that whenever it happens, because if that's something people are interested in seeing, then I'll do it, but you'll have to tell me. I'm not going to be getting to this for a couple of months at least, or I don't know, at least not anytime in the next few weeks, I'll say. I have like quite a few books lined up in priority, but now I have it, so I can read it when I get the chance. So there's nothing to do with this vlog. I just thought it'd be really fun. I am now going to go hang out downstairs with my boyfriend while he sets up all of his computer stuff, and I'll do a little bit of writing, a little bit of reading. My goal is to get to page 200 in The Magicians today, because that would be halfway through, and I feel like that would be a good place to give you a real update. And also, tomorrow I'm going to be out of the house pretty much all day. We're leaving at like 8:30 in the morning to catch a train into the city to then take another train to Newark because we're going to a hockey game. It's myself, my boyfriend, and a bunch of his friends. And so we're not going to get home until like 6 p.m. But, ooh, I just realized we also have to feed my friend's cat tomorrow morning. So I'm getting an even earlier start so we can make sure to do that before we leave. Ooh, I have to remember to tell my boyfriend that. Which, like, I'm sure he knows, but I don't think we've, like, talked about the logistics of when we're going. So I'm gonna go talk to him about that, and then I'm gonna settle downstairs and do some stuff. I don't know, but I will see you maybe tonight, maybe not, whenever I reach the midpoint of The Magicians. So it's Monday. Not even, like, Monday morning. It is about 3 p.m. on Monday, but I've reached the midpoint of The Magicians. Technically, I'm past page 200. I'm on 224-ish, because that's where part 1 ends. Or sorry, book 1, because it's split into 2 books. See, book 1, and now I can actually flip to it. Book 2. Yeah. This is a weird book. It's so weird. There's, like, not a lot of plot going on. Like, there's stuff happening. There's definitely story, but there's not a lot of plot. To me, when I say that, I mean plot is the, like, arc that the story takes. So you have the inciting incident all the way to the conclusion, the climax, the final bits. That is the plot. The story is everything. It's the plot, it's the subplots, it's the character work, it's the world building, it's all of that put together. And there is definitely a lot of story, but there's like only a few little moments of plot. Unless things that I didn't expect to come back are going to come back and have importance in this second half. I really don't know. It's genuinely so bizarre. I think that's part of why it took me so long to get to this part. Also, though, I kind of just had a very hectic weekend, a very exhausting weekend. I'm genuinely so tired, but I wanted to update you because I did make some good progress in this today. I think I only got to like page 100 yesterday, so I've read 100 or so pages so far today. I've been alternating between reading and writing, and that has definitely helped. But anyway, yeah, it's very different from the show, which, like, I knew it was going to be, but I don't think I expected this much of a difference. I don't want to, like, point anything out, because I don't want to spoil it if you've never read the book or if you've never seen the show and you're interested in it, but, like, they're two very different things. There are definitely similarities, obviously, because the show is based on the book, but it's like very surface level similarities. I feel like so much of it has been like churned up and redistributed to give it like a more cohesive plot for the show. Like, as it is, if it were to be like a one-to-one adapted, it would not have worked as a show. And I think that's because it has such a meandering story and not a very strong plot. Honestly, this is gonna sound so bizarre, but this reminds me of the Atlas Six, which, if you don't know, the Atlas Six is one of my least favorite books of all time. I read it a couple of years ago. I want to say like 2022, maybe, and I didn't like it. This has a similar vibe in that it's a lot of vibes and not a lot of plot, but the things that we do have, the characters, the world building, and all of that, A, is more fleshed out, and B, is actually interesting. Like, I remember with the Atlas Six, I didn't understand what was going on, and I did not care about any of the characters, and that's why I dislike that book so much. This, it is very meandering. There's not a lot of plot, but the characters are super interesting. The world building is super interesting, so it definitely has that going for it. I'm not loving this book by any means, but I'm intrigued by my experience with it, I guess we can say. I don't know. It's kind of an enigma, but I now have 175 pages left, so I don't want to make you promises because every time I've said I'm going to get to this point by this day, I've been so wrong, but I feel like I'm going to get this done probably tomorrow. So that's exciting. It feels like it's really been lingering. Yeah, so that's where I'm at with this. It's so bizarre. Like, I'm genuinely just sitting here like, wow, this is such a weird little book. But it is good. It is an interesting time. It's a fun time. So I will get going on this a little later today. I'm gonna take a break from reading and writing to get some chores done. I gotta wash the dishes and put away the laundry and all that jazz, but I will be picking this back up later on and making more progress. So I guess I'll see you when I reach the end of the book. Okay, friends, I'm doing some reading before bed. You can see I'm on page 260. And I just came to the sentence, Penny was nodding and rocking his whole body forward and backward semi-autistically. That has got to be the most bizarre sentence I've ever read in a book. Good morning, friends. I have not yet finished The Magicians, but I wanted to do a little update. First of all, the sentence that I shared yesterday, which is still, like, boggling my mind. It's so weird. We have stepped up from semi-autistically and had the actual R slur in here, so love that. Yeah, that's definitely the right way to go. But anyway, the real reason why I came on to give you this update is I'm on page 299, so about 75% into it, and okay, spoilers, I guess. They've made it into Fillory, which is this basically Narnia ripoff. It's this other world, and they're like talking about what to do and how they kind of have to persevere, and it's always hard in the beginning of the story, and blah blah blah. And then the one character, Alice, says, "This isn't a story, it's just one fucking thing after another." And that's how I feel about this book. Like, it is just one thing after another, especially like so far. Since they've gotten to Fillory, it has felt a little bit more like an actual story with plot, but like it just, I don't know, man. The more I read, the less charmed I am by it. Like at first I was like, "Oh, this is so fun," and like I'm here for the vibes and stuff, but now I'm like, I don't know. I'll have to finish it actually to like really have my thoughts on it. I do have like 100 pages left, which is not too bad. But once I finish it, I'll do some contemplating. I don't know if I'm gonna want to continue on with the series. There are 2 more books, but I think that this book, as different as it is from the show, like covers what I've seen of the show. So like I wouldn't be interested in continuing on to like catch up to what I've seen if I haven't seen it, if that makes sense. I don't know. I'm just rambling. Yeah, the more I read of this, the less I'm enjoying it. So that's a bummer, but I'm going to continue on. I'm going to finish it, and I will see you when I do. Alright, friends, it is about 1:45, and I've finished The Magicians. This was such a weird one. Like, I genuinely don't know how I feel about it. I think the first half, or like slightly more than half, the first 220 pages, with the rest of the book as context, that first bit should have been like edited down. Like it's so much, and a lot of it we don't really need. Those there were bits that did come back, but very few. So, like, that 220 pages could have easily been like 150 and still gotten all the important bits and like helped the flow of the story better. Then there was some weird stuff going on in the second half that I didn't really vibe with. It was just a lot. I don't know, man. But then the final like climax of it, like the last battle and the aftermath of it, I thought was so well done, so interesting. It genuinely made me want to reread The Chronicles of Narnia because like this really is just a Narnia ripoff for adults. Like, I don't know. But I did really like that. And then the last chapter does give us like a lead into the next book. So like I don't know. I'm kind of curious as to what's going to happen in the next one, but I'm not like clawing at it to read it. Like I'll think about it. I'll keep this for now and maybe at some point in the future if I've got some spare time and the second book is easy to get a hold of like from the library or something, I'll give it a shot, but I really don't know how I feel. I'm going to have to think about it. There's a hair sticking out of it. That's gross. I'm gonna have to think about it because there were things that I really, really liked and things that I really, really didn't like, and a lot of stuff that I was ambivalent about. I don't really like Quentin as a main character. I did until the second half of the book, and then it's just like, okay, I'm getting really tired of seeing things from his point of view. So, yeah, that was The Magicians. It was a book that I read, I guess. I'm really gonna have to think about it, but that can happen later. Now, I'm going to be thinking about the next book I'm going to read, the last one for this vlog, and that is The Wild Huntress by Emily Lloyd Jones. I'm so excited to get to this. This is her latest release. It just came out last fall. I got this as a Christmas gift, and it's been sitting on my little TBR cart for the last couple of weeks, and I'm like, oh, I want so badly to read it, so I'm going to read it. And this takes place in the same world as The Bone Houses, which is my favorite book of all time, if you didn't know that. I mean, unless you are brand new here, you probably knew that because I talk about it in literally every video that I can. But also The Drowned Woods, like it's all the same situation, but they are standalones. The little tagline is within these woods, trust no one. And then on the back, there's like a little, not prophecy, but like a little poem, I guess. And it says, every 5th year as harvests wane, 2 kingdoms meet in wooded domain. And those who cannot hunt nor slay belong to your king for a year and a day. Kings and beggars trust to your aim, for in the wild hunt all are fair game. So there's some sort of hunt competition going on. I don't actually know anything beyond that. Okay. The way Emily Lloyd Jones's books, at least the ones that I've read that take place in this world, are set up is there's 3 parts, and like you can see maybe the divisions here where there's the dividing page. And in the Bone Houses, it's the living, the dead, and after. And there are 2 main characters that we kind of follow both of them. And then in The Drowned Woods, which I think is more in line with how this one is, there are 3 main characters, and each one kind of has a part that focuses on them. So there's, I think it's the witch, the thief, and the iron fetch. I believe that's the order it goes in, or like the names of the parts. These ones, we have, oh, it says, for my wonderful readers, don't worry, the cat survives. That's good to know. There's always some sort of animal companion in her books, and I just love that. So part 1 is the huntress. Part 2, that's interesting, the monster, but it's crossed out to be the prince. And part 3 is the trickster, which part 3 is very slim, but we all know I love a good book that's split into parts, so I guess I will just update you after each part. I will get started on this sometime later on today and talk to you when I've got something to talk about, I guess. Hello, friends. It is almost 9 a.m. on Thursday, and I'm here to give you an update because last night, before bed at like 11:30, I finally reached the end of part 1 of The Wild Huntress. You can see my bookmark is there. I just had a lot to do yesterday, so I didn't get to read until right before bed, and then I didn't feel like updating you yet, so I was like, I'll just do it in the morning. So here we are, about 150 pages in, and I won't lie, the first 100 pages were like good. Like I enjoyed the writing and everything, but it didn't really like hook me. And I think it's because the characters didn't meet each other yet. Because we have three main characters, and as we've established, I'm a character driven reader. And while they are good on their own, it's not until they actually start coming together that I'm like fully invested. And here we are, fully invested because the characters have now come together. Um, so yeah, I'll show you a map that they have, which is very hard to read on camera, especially because it's going to be backwards for you. But the basic premise is that every 5 years, which by the way, I'm going to butcher all of these Welsh character and place names, so if someone out there watching this video speaks Welsh, please feel free to correct me in the comments. I think Welsh is a very beautiful language, and I have looked up some of these things before, but I do not trust myself to pronounce these things correctly. But yes, every 5 years, the King of Anwen, which is the fairy forest, I guess. I think his name is Aaron. It's Arawn. Him and the King of Dyfed, Dyfed, who is a human king. They get together and have what's called the Great Hunt, and it's like a magical thing, and it takes place in Anwen, and you can only go if you're invited. Not everyone makes it out alive. It's this whole big deal. So one of our characters, oh, I don't remember his name. We've only seen him like twice. Oh, Pryderi, something like that. He is the son of the king of this human country that I'm not going to try and pronounce again. And he does not want to be in the hunt, but he is because he killed someone in self-defense, and so he's taking that person's place in the hunt. He does not like the skills that he has. He thinks it makes him a monster, and he does not want to be a violent man, but it's just kind of been like worked into him as a child. Like he just has these skills and he doesn't enjoy that. So we've got him, and he's still like separate from the other two characters right now, doing his own thing. And then we have the not a prince. He's the youngest nephew of the king of Gwyneth. I'm gonna assume because one thing I do know is that a double D in Welsh makes a th sound. So I'm assuming this is Gwyneth, and his name is Gideon. He doesn't want his brother to become king because the current king has no children, and so it's pretty clear that the king is going to name his oldest nephew as his heir, and Gideon is like, that's a horrible idea, my brother's a terrible person, and so he wants to sneak into the hunt to prove to his uncle that his sister should be named the heir, which like it's a whole big thing. I'm butchering the explanation, but like that's the gist of it. He enlists the help of our third main character, Branwen, who is the wild huntress in question. She lives in Gwyneth, and she was touched by magic as a baby, and so she sees normally out of her left eye, and then out of her right eye she sees magic, so she usually wears an eye patch with a piece of iron sewn into it when she's not using it, just to protect herself. And so she's a hunter of monsters, and so the two of them, Branwen and Gideon, team up because she wants to win the hunt so that the Fae will cure her mother, who has a dementia-like disease. They call it memory sickness. And so they've all got their own issues going on. It's so great. I do love all of the characters. I cannot wait for the third one to like become intertwined in the story of the other two. It's so good so far. Emily Lloyd-Jones needs to write a million books in this world, and I will eat them all up. So this one actually takes place, I think, slightly after the Drowned Woods, because they mention the like big final climax of The Drowned Woods. They mention what happens during then in this book, and they also name drop one of the main characters and hint at another of the main characters of The Drowned Woods as, like, having been met a couple of years prior. So this takes place a few years after The Drowned Woods. So I definitely recommend reading that before this one, just so you don't get spoilers. And then the Bone Houses takes place a long time, like generations after The Drowned Woods. There's like an Easter egg at the end of The Drowned Woods that leads into the Bone Houses. You could read that one before these two, which I mean it's the first one that came out, so that would make sense, but also you could read it afterwards, and at least up to now, there hasn't been any spoilers for the Bone Houses, which makes sense because it takes place way after this book. So it does give like little Easter eggs of things that happen in the Bone Houses, but not like plot-wise, just lore-wise. Like there are things mentioned in the Bone Houses that like now we're coming to understand why those things are the way they are. So fun. I love how they're all their own separate stories, but still like little threads connect. It's so fun. But yeah, I'm having a great time, and I'm going to do some reading today, obviously. I don't know when. I do have a pretty full schedule for the day, but I'm going to squeeze in some reading time because this book is just so good, and I will see you when I finish part 2. You guys, I'm losing my mind. I just finished part 2 of The Wild Huntress. It is 4:45. If this update had come a chapter ago, it would have been completely different. I would have been telling you about how giddy I was feeling, how the romance is romancing, how I've gasped, how I've giggled. I didn't cry yet, but that might still come. But this last chapter, there was a betrayal. Oh my god. Genuinely, I didn't see it coming. I should have. Or maybe not. I don't know. I didn't see this betrayal coming, and now I'm like stressed. I did the math. I have 76 pages left in this part 3. I don't know how this is gonna wrap up in 76 pages. Oh my god. I was gonna tell you guys about how I was not gonna like hope for this to be a throuple book, but like maybe dream about it being a throuple book because I love how the 3 main characters all like have this dynamic together and all that fun stuff. But now I can't even think of that because I'm just like, what is going on and what's going to happen? So I'm gonna continue reading. I'm gonna finish this tonight. I don't have a choice. Like I just don't have a choice. I have to finish this because I need to know what happens. Like, genuinely, my heart is beating so hard. I should take a break. I have been reading for a couple of hours now, so I should take a break and like have dinner. I was thinking of showering tonight so I don't have to worry about showering in the morning. We'll see what I end up doing, but this book, these last 76 pages, they're getting read tonight. I feel insane right now. I probably look insane to you guys, but holy cow. Wow, 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 wow. Emily Lloyd Jones has done it again. Like, I don't know how she does this. Genuinely, I'm in awe of her as a writer. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna go get doing some stuff. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I want to do other things and then read, and I will come back when I have finished this book. Ah! friends. It is 8:42, and I don't know if you can tell, but I am actively crying right now. And it's because I finished The Wild Huntress. Oh my god. Emily Lloyd Jones, what have you done to me? Oh my god. It was such a time. It's so sad in a way I didn't expect. All three of the books set in this world are sad in different ways. In like bittersweet ways, I'll say. They're not like straight up sad books. Like they're definitely bittersweet. So The Bone Houses is all about grief and family. Then you have The Drowned Woods, which is more about like chosen family and not so much grief, but more like, I don't know, finding your place in the world, that sort of thing. This, it's back to like the family aspect, but it's beyond that too. And it just, I, I just don't know what to do with myself now. I'm, oh boy. I just, I loved it. I loved it so much, you guys. The beginning was a little bit slow, and of course the ending broke my heart, but listen, man, I couldn't ask for more out of a book. This was just so good. So we had three books in this vlog. We had Bitter Blue, which was a reread, and I loved it. Then we had The Magicians, which I didn't quite love, but like it was fine. And then we had The Wild Huntress, which is just emotionally devastating in the absolute best way. So yeah, it's been a time this past week with my reading, so I'm glad I could bring you guys along with me. I hope you enjoy me literally crying for you guys, for content, for your entertainment. Oh, oh, this book was so good. I still wouldn't rank it as high as The Bone Houses, but definitely just like one notch lower. Like definitely on the same level as The Drowned Woods. Emily Lloyd Jones did, like I think like today or yesterday, announce a new book that is a YA cyberpunk thriller, so very different from anything else she has, because she's got these three books. She's got another YA fantasy, I think. She has another YA book. I don't actually know the genre of it. What is it called? It's called The Hearts We Sold. And then she's got a duology that's middle grade. So she might have more than that. I really don't know. But I've only read the three books that take place in this world. I do want to check out her backlist, obviously, because these ones mean so much to me, but I'm very excited for her new book. Cyberpunk thriller sounds so good. I mean, as good as it can when you don't know the details of the actual story. Anyway, I'm just babbling now because I don't want to deal with the emotions this book has given me. But alas, I must. So I'm going to end things here. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel for more content, and that way I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!